What if the strangest moment of my career, and I've dangled from helicopters, wrestled in cages, and worn masks that made every breath feel like a county fair vacuum, came down to a single, spit-soaked paper straw fired at my cheek by Leonardo DiCaprio in a dingy London break room. Picture the scene. Dawn light slanting through dusty skylights, the scent of sawdust from fresh sets, and production assistants sprinting like terriers with trays of double espressos. Chris Nolan stood nearby, trench coat flapping, quietly plotting yet another physics-defying set piece. I was rehearsing Eames's lines, trying to sound half as suave as the screenplay promised, when Leo strolled in, grinning like a schoolboy. He unwrapped a paper straw from his juice box, dunked it, pinched one end, and thwip sent a juice dart zipping past my ear. Crew members shrieked with laughter. Nolan's eyebrows lifted an entire quarter-inch, and I, bruiser of Bane and thug of Bronson, jolted like a startled spaniel. That stupid straw became my offbeat totem from that minute forward. I slipped it into my pocket, damp, crumpled, and somehow sacred, and muttered, "You'll regret this, mate." Leo's reply, "In dreams, Tom. Pain's only in the mind. Let's see if that holds true in real life." If you are a fan of Tom Hardy and his movies, you will find a lot of interesting information in the rest of the story. If you have subscribed to the channel, we continue. The pranks kept coming. Every morning, while lighting techs aligned sun lamps and stagehands taped down cables, Leo lurked with rubber bands, peppercorns in paper cones, or the dreaded juice box straw, waiting to fire at precisely the moment Nolan called rolling. His timing was devilish. During the Snow Fortress assault, he pinged me just as I launched my ski bike down a 60-meter ice ramp, sending me veering sideways into a foam column disguised as concrete. I sprawled in synthetic snow, shoulder throbbing, and heard Leo's cackle bounce off the refrigerated set walls. Nolan ambled over, knelt, and calmly asked, "Think we can use that fall?" Before I could wail, "Absolutely not," he'd reset the take. 7 crashes later, 2 bruised ribs, 1 mildly charred shin guard, and 30 squibs detonated off cue, we finally nailed the sequence. Camera playback revealed the perfect hero shot. Eames rolling under a collapsing turret, rising, and flashing an irreverent grin. That grin? Genuine relief I hadn't been flattened by styrofoam boulders. And behind camera, Leo whipped his straw overhead like a victorious matador. Between melees, we stole into Stage B, home of the rotating corridor. The industrial ring looked harmless at rest, but crank it to full speed and you're suddenly a sock in a tumble dryer. Night shoots left us punch-drunk and mischievous, so one early morning Leo bribed the rig operator, 2 premiere tickets for his teenage daughter, and convinced him to spin us at half speed. First revolution, giddy delight. Second, stomachs rose to throats. Third, Leo's boots slipped. He cannoned into me. We tumbled head over heels, laughing so hard oxygen felt scarce. The operator panicked, mashed the emergency brake, and we froze, upside down, magnetized to the ceiling by centrifugal force. Nolan arrived, took in the carnage, and instead of scolding us, stared thoughtfully. "Pull a camera crew," he said. "Roll now." Suspended like comical bats, we ad-libbed lines to cover our embarrassment. Among them was my eventual taunt. "You mustn't be afraid to dream a little bigger, darling." Not in the script, born from dizziness and stolen overtime. In the meantime, if you want to give your opinion, please mention it in the comments. I would love to talk to you about this in the comments. But the Paris Café set cemented the legend of Leo's straw. We filmed at Shepperton on a false street, drenched in tungsten sunlight. My job, amble through the background while Arthur and Cobb discuss totems. Under cafe tables lurked compressed air mortars packed with fruit, china shards, and shredded paper. On action, those mortars erupted, freezing pastries mid-air like meteors. At the exact explosion, Leo, off camera, straw loaded, tagged my earlobe. Reflex kicked in. I winced, twisted, then steadied, continuing the stroll with an exaggerated shrug. The surprise reaction stayed in the final cut. Nolan crowing. Authenticity. Sound department cursed. My semi-audible, "Oi!" polluted every boom mic. We ADR'd it later, but that moment of unfiltered shock became my favorite Easter egg. Viewers think I'm reacting to debris, unaware it's Leo's low-tech sniper attack. Our rivalry reached its apex during the Van Bridge stunt in rainy LA. I'd rehearsed the leap a dozen times, spring from railing onto a taxi roof, slick with glycerin, slide across, pump a shotgun blank, and land on a mattress hidden by forced perspective. Day of, rain hammered the set like buckshot. Take one, I slipped, collided chin first with the windshield, and slid off the bonnet into the net. Nolan's voice over loud-hailer. Excellent energy, Tom, but perhaps stay on the car. Leo leaned out of the van window, straw at the ready. Mind your step, darling. I flipped him a gloved salute. Take two, I stuck the landing, but hydroplaned sideways, slamming ribs into the taxi light. My breath left like steam from a ruptured pipe. Leo tapped the glass rhythmically, mouthing breathe. By take three, muscles ached, Jeans questioned my career choices, and the crew gorged on gallows. He pressed the straw into my palm. When you leap, snap this against your wrist. Pain reminds you you're alive. The absurdity cut tension like a blade. I laughed, adrenaline surged, and cameras rolled. I sprang, landed true, fired the blank, slid perfectly, and mid-skid, snapped the straw against my glove. A sting that felt like victory. Nolan's fist pump punched through the rain haze. We had our hero take. Later, editorial used that raw dash of energy to sell an impossible Dreamtime climax. Between setups, we discovered new ways to torment each other. Leo hid the straw in my boot before the 0G elevator shot. I retaliated by swapping his prop handgun with a bright pink hairdryer taped to a banana clip. Prop master nearly fainted when Leo drew it mid-rehearsal. Nolan dry coughed, disguised laughter as throat clearing, then ordered second unit coverage. He'd learned to mine our stupidity for gold. The hairdryer cameo didn't survive final edit, but somewhere in Warner's vault, a gag reel awaits, documenting actors blasting imaginary foes with salon equipment. With each prank came bruises, but also bonds. We shared war stories over midnight ramen in the studio commissary, Leo remembering ice flows on The Revenant, me recounting bare-knuckle madness from Bronson. Yet nothing unified us more than Nolan's relentless pursuit of practical stunts. No green screen salvation, no easy digital fix, just wires, physics, and hope. On the limbo shoreline setup, endless gray sand under brooding skies built from LED walls, our exhaustion peaked. Cobb spins his brass top, Eames boards a helicopter and departs. We rehearsed at 3 a.m., eyelids drooping. Leo approached, straw frayed, color leached from countless juice boxes. Time to retire the magic, he said, sealing it into a tiny acrylic cube the prop department loaned. He etched, for Eames, dream bigger on the bottom with a soldering iron. We clasped hands, laugh groaned, and shot the final scene in one perfect take, the bittersweet curtain on months of madness. Camaraderie blossomed amid the lunacy. Between shots, I'd practice card tricks with Michael Caine. He showed me how to palm coins. I taught him to shuffle one-handed. Watanabe brewed ceremonial matcha in his trailer, delivering steaming bowls to shivering crew during snow fortress nights. Ellen Page organized impromptu trivia contests. Losers wore a neon pink feather boa until rap. Even Nolan, king of calculated precision, joined a midnight Nerf war, sliding across corridors he'd designed for highbrow metaphysics, firing foam darts at assistant directors. Those darts remain embedded in set walls, preserved at Warner's tour, a testament to the power of controlled chaos. While fun dominated, grit underpinned every day. We rehearsed wire rigs until hip joints screamed, studied firearm reloads until fingers blistered, and spent hours submerged in steel bathtubs for dream kit close-ups. On day 87, a misaligned gimbal threw me sidelong into a steel door, cracking 2 molars. Medic offered morphine. I asked only for dental putty. Leo taped a kick me sign over my sling. I retaliated by covertly adjusting his smartphone language to Icelandic. He spent half a day navigating voicemail prompts that sounded like Viking curses before discovering my sabotage. It has been a very funny and unusual experience for us. I want you to know that I do this once in a while with all the actors. We wrapped principal photography under London drizzle. Crew crowded soundstage steps, clapping as Nolan, ever modest, thanked each department. Leo stepped forward, cube in hand, and presented it back to me. "Hang it in your study," he said. "Whenever Hollywood feels like limbo, remember the straw." I nodded, throat tight. Then, in front of everyone, he produced one last straw, dipped it in leftover coffee, and fired. It struck my forehead with a pathetic splat. Cheering erupted. Nolan declared, "Print that memory." And with that, we disbanded, dreamers awakening into separate projects, but tethered forever by elastic whimsy. Opening weekend exceeded predictions. Audiences hailed Inception as a cerebral blockbuster, dissecting totems, timelines, and ambiguous finales. Meanwhile, behind the curtain, our straw duel percolated through cast interviews, turning into minor folklore. A French journalist asked me, "Are you and Monsieur DiCaprio still at war?" I flashed the cube. "Ceasefire," I said, "but the armistice is fragile." Leo, on a separate junket, hinted we'd resume hostilities if sequels materialized. Fans photoshopped us in Napoleonic uniforms, straws replacing sabers. Someone mailed me a titanium straw engraved, "You mustn't be afraid to sip a little stronger, darling." It sits beside the real relic on my shelf, absurd yet precious. A decade later, memories of wire bruises fade, but straw stings linger like phantom itches. I can still feel the cold polystyrene snow inside my gloves, hear the corridor motor whine, smell kerosene from exploding cafe tables. Above all, I recall how the straw taught me presence. When you're balancing on slick taxi roofs, while dream physics crumble, a childish prank reminds you of your humanity, pinning you to the moment. That authenticity bleeds through the lens. Audiences sense it. So yes, the wildest adventure I ever survived wasn't scripted in Nolan's meticulous drafts. It sprouted when a world-famous actor channeled a prankish school kid. From that straw sprang trust, competition, bruises, and breakthroughs. We bent cities, folded hallways, and crashed vans from bridges. But none of it would resonate if we hadn't first believed we were simply mates in a playground, daring each other to leap higher. Cinema, like dreaming, thrives on fragile human sparks. Without them, all the digital wizardry is just code. These days, whenever a new set intimidates me, a vast alien landscape, a war-torn trench, I pat the acrylic cube in my kit bag. The crew thinks it's a lucky charm. They're right. It reminds me to greet danger with a grin, to ground terror in laughter, and to fire first, figuratively of course, before fear takes aim. And if Leo ever ambushes me again with a straw, I've got an arsenal of biodegradable ones ready, color-coded for range, weight, and trajectory. He started the war. I intend to finish it, dream within dream, until the credits roll on whatever mad adventure life scripts next. Sometimes, I don't understand which side is real. I forget which totem is mine, but I am sure I will wake up in the end. I guess that's my gift, because in our line of work, as in the most layered dreams, you either let gravity dictate the fall, or you fold the street upside down and dance on the ceiling. And if a bit of wet paper helps you pirouette above the chaos, who's to say it isn't the most potent totem of all? Somewhere beyond the studio lights, an audience still wonders whether Cobb's top ever toppled. Me? I already know the answer. The real question is whether Leo's straw will spin forever, and if it does, I'll be waiting, one eyebrow cocked, ready to snap back, with an even bigger dream, a louder laugh, and a story wilder than the last. If you like my story, don't forget to subscribe and like it. Don't forget that I have more interesting stories for you. I will be back every day with a new story. Take care and sweet dreams.